So what we discussed yesterday, guys? Yesterday we discussed about the that
Docker files.
Docker file creation, and by so if you use the Docker file, we can build the image. Then so from the image we run as a container. We run as a container. If you want to allow outer side, definitely we need to enable the container port as well as the VM port also. Container port and the VM port also. Right, guys? Understood? Docker volumes. So Docker volumes. So this is the Docker, right? Docker contains 5 MB, 500 MB. Something like I want to write the logs on the I want to write the logs on the application. Application I want to write a application log, but the Docker container having only guys. Docker container having only Docker volumes. What is this, guys? Docker volumes. So Docker container, Docker container, the Docker container is something like 500 MB. So the Docker container is 500 MB, but but I want to store the application application logs. I want to store the application logs, guys. So is it possible in the container? Is it possible, guys, or not? Is it possible or not? Because of only 500 MB, so the application logs, so writing every day of 5 GB, guys. 5 GB application logs writing every day 5 GB. 5 GB. Is it sufficient for the 500 MB? No. And the other concept is something like if you if you delete if you delete the container so the code, whatever the code, right, or whatever the code deployed on the container deployed on the container, it will delete the code also. It will delete the code also. So what is the solution, guys? So what is the solution? Something like if container deleted, so if container deleted, so we don't want to delete the code. So we don't want to delete the code, guys. Yeah, in the data center or a something like a cloud environment, guys. This is the cloud, and so this is the a data center environment. So in the data center or a cloud environment, you took the one VM, so and other VM. So here also something like a one VM or other VMs. So these are the VMs, and this is the one server. So this server contains the 5 TB array, 2 TB space. So what this is, guys? So 5 TB array, 2 TB space. So we'll mount it to these three servers, these three VMs. This is one VM. This is another VM. So this is another VM, guys. So we mounted the 2 TB of a space, 2 TB of a space. So whatever the application logs writing in this, right, here also he created a slash app logs, for example. So you mounted the slash app logs in the all the three servers, app logs slash app logs. So these app logs in the three servers, three VMs, guys. So this is nothing but a NFS mount. What is this, guys? Network file sharing mount. NFS mount. So whatever you are, so this VM contains only 20 GB, right? This VM also contain only 20 GB. So that is not enough to store the logs. So what you did, you created the NFS server. This is a NFS server. So in this server, you created a 2 TB space of the app logs and mounted to the VM. So mounted to the VM. So whatever the application log write it these logs, right? These logs are write it in the here. These logs are write it in the here. So for example, this is the data center. So in the uh, cloud comes into the picture, right? Whatever the VMs, so these are the app servers, for example. These two are the app server. So this is also app server. This instance, apps server. The both the app servers. Here you created a one mount point in the S3 bucket. What it is, guys? S3 storage solution. So we can write the logs in the. So we can write the logs in the. You can mount it here. Then we can write them. We can write the logs in the S3 bucket. So this is in the AWS cloud, guys. So this is in the AWS cloud. AWS cloud. But so whatever it may be, guys, either DC or a cloud, or a DC or a cloud. So this is the server. So this is the server. In this server, you run as a container. So you run as a container. So container having only 500 MB. I want to write the logs in the container logs, or I want to I want to store the index.ml or something like whatever the deployment file, index.html file in the storage. So in the EC2 storage. So these two are the containers. What are this? A container. This is a container, and this is also a container. So the both the containers are, if something like, so both the containers are sharing the index.html file. So sharing the index.html file. This HTML index.html file is so located in the EC2 instance, the virtual machine. So what is that, guys? The EC2 instance. EC2 instance. EC2 instance. Guys, understood? So you created an index.5, you created an index.html file in the EC2 instance, and containers will be, so the volume. So the volume is nothing but the storage. This is the volume storage. So this volume storage is mounted on the mounted to the container, Here also you create another storage in the EC2 instance. You can mount it to the container. Whatever the application logs, write it in here. It will be write it in the EC2 instance volume. EC2 instance volume. Guys, understood? Guys,
So means
understood?
that only index HTML will be mounted to two different
Mm.
containers, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So for example, guys, I will tell you. Okay. Yeah. So what is your question? Is a patient in the chat or not? Yeah, I pasted in the chat. Yeah. So what is your doubt?
Means that only one index to we can deploy in two containers like that.
Mm, mm, mm. Something like so this is a very easy to instance. So these many containers scale up and scale down, right? Something like if the people are increasing to access the application, it automatically scale up the another container, right? So for
Yeah.
example, So the whatever the deployment file, right? You can deploy, you can store it under the every container. Something like after decreasing the traffic, it automatically scale down, right? So for that purpose, so we can create a index.html and mount it to these volumes automatically. Whenever it automatically shares, it will not delete the deployment file, right? It will not delete the deployment file. Understood,
Yeah.
Rafi? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you understood, now you understood about the volumes. Docker, volumes, Docker volumes is nothing but in the EC2 instance, you create a volume and attach it to the containers. Attach it to the containers. For example, Nginx server. This is also Nginx server, container 1 and container 2. So you shared the file index.html. So if container deletes, the deployment file will not delete, right? You can use it in for this purpose also. So Docker volumes mounted to EC2 instance. Docker volumes mounted to EC2 instances. So this is the container. This is our EC2 VM. This is our AWS cloud. So this is the file. So this is the file. This file is created under the EC2 instance and mounted to the Docker volumes. This is the you created a volume in the EC2 instance and mount it on the Docker container. Guys, understood? Docker volume is nothing but a space or a storage mounted to EC2 instance. Guys, understood? Because of the container having only 500 or 500 MB or below 1 GB only. So Docker volumes are used to persist the data generated by the Docker container. Using Docker volume, you can decouple the data storage from the container. So using Docker volumes, we can share the data among the multiple Docker containers and delete of a container and deletion of a container. Docker volume will not be deleted. Guys, understood? The Docker volume will not be ignited. This is the last point is on deletion of a container. Docker volume will not be deleted. So Docker volumes commands to display the Docker volume commands. Docker volume hyphen help. So create the Docker volumes. Docker volume name. So display the Docker volumes. Docker volume ls. Inspect the volume. Docker volume inspect volume name. So remove the Docker volume rm volume name. Remove unused volumes, Docker volume pool. Right, guys? And how we can share the data from one container to another container. So how we can share the data from one container to another container. So Docker a volume creation. So guys, so this is the concept how we can share the data from one container to another container. So Docker volume creation. So pulling the Nginx image from the Docker hub, pull Nginx image. So running the Nginx image using the Docker container, something like a run web app 1 hyphen d hyphen detached mode hyphen p mounts port 88x Nginx. Note, access the static website using EC2 VM public IP will be hosted by the Nginx. So modify the static website content in the index.html file. You can use so how you can execute this command, yeah, how you can connect to the container. So we can connect to the container by using this and echo tag called with index.html. Access the static website EC2 VM public IP which is hosted by the Nginx. Modified content should be displayed here. So Docker stop container, Docker run again. Right, guys? So this is the one step I will show you guys practically. So Docker volume creation step 2. Stop the Docker container and start another Docker container with the same port. So note, access the static website using EC2 VM public IP is hosted by Nginx. So this is the Docker volume, create the volume. Here you just you just created took the from the Docker hub and just modify the content. But here what you can do, you can create the access the static website EC2 VM public IP just by Nginx. So here we can create the Docker volumes. You can create the Docker volume. So Docker volume, create a new volume. Start container by mounting the Docker volume. So this is the command to so mounting the volume. So Docker exercise, you can use this one. Access static website using EC2VM public IP, which is hosted by the Nginx. So Docker stop, Docker run, right? This is the mounted source. So, so using host file with two containers, so we can use the host file, right? Mounting the bound volumes. What is that? Mounting the bound volumes. So this is nothing but a created a volume. So automatically create the volume and share the share this file, right? But bounded volume means so this is the bounded volume. You can create a directory in the EC2 instance and attach it to the Docker container. So host directory mounting. What is that, guys? Host directory mounting to the Docker container. Create a directory in the host mission. Yeah, you created the directory in the host mission. Run Docker container for Nginx image with the directory mounting and see the container which are running. Access the Nginx web server using host mission public IP. Go to the mount and create the index file and index file. So this is the index file. Guys, understood? So bounded mounting and the so this is the bounded mounting. Bounded mounting is nothing but you can create a directory and connect and attach it to the container. Uh, so this is the normal mounting. So just create the Docker volume. Just create the Docker volume and you can use the Docker volume. You can use the Docker volume, that volume to mount it to the container. So, but this is the bounded mounting. In the bounded mounting, you can create a directory and attach it to the directory. Guys, understood? So bounded mounting, host directory mounting and bounded mounting interview. How can I mount my host mission directory to that Docker container? It's called as a bind mounting concept. Guys, understood? This is the interview question. Yeah, guys, I will show you real time, then only you will understand, guys. Then only you will understand. So Docker volume. So to display the Docker volumes commands, Docker volume hyphen help. Create a Docker volume, volume name. Display the Docker volumes, Docker volume ls. Inspect the Docker volume, inspect. Volume remove. So unused port. So these are the volumes. So something like a Docker pull, Docker run. So you are running the Docker and access the static website using a VM public IP which is hosted by the Nginx. Modify the static website content in the index.html. So you can log into this and you can modify it. Access static website using the EC2 VM public IP which is hosted by the Nginx. So modify the content should display here and not stop the container again run the container. So I will show you guys. I will show you how this works. Yeah. The volumes, right? So bounded volumes and the normal volumes. So bounded volumes and the normal volumes. Yeah, right. So EC2 instance. Yeah, I'm terminating this one, guys. You need you don't need, right? Terminate, terminate the instance. Yeah, Docker server. You can connect to this Docker server. Connect it, guys. Connect. So nothing to worry, right? We already added. So what is this, guys? Docker volume creation 1. So how you can create? Just to pull the Docker from the Docker Hub. So what is that? Sudo docker pull nginx. So nginx also web server, guys. Whatever the Apache, Tomcat, nginx also a web server. The whatever the PHP, right? The from the PHP language, through the PHP language, whatever the websites are developed through the PHP language. So they are using the nginx web server. They are using the nginx web server. Yes, understood? So Docker pull nginx, it is pulling from the Docker hub. So it is pulling from the Docker hub, Docker images. So we have a Docker images. This is the nginx. So this is the nginx image. So 188 MB. This is the 188 MB. I pull the Docker image, then Docker run, guys. So how you can run the Docker command? Sudo Docker run. So Docker run name. You can give the name also, girls. Hyphen name equal to a web app one. You created a name as a web app one, and hyphen D is nothing but a detached mode. Hyphen P is nothing but a port mode. So 8080. My container port and my VM port will be what is that, guys? 80. 80 is the port. Yeah, I'm running the container. I'm running as a container. Yeah, container is created. Docker ps hyphen a. So the container is running with a port 8080. Let's check, guys. This is working or not. The static website. So what is the IP address, guys? The IP address is this is the IP address. New http colon double slash IP address IP address IP address and yeah, you can check, guys. You can check with this. Yeah, you see, so something like welcome to nginx. The application is the web server is running fine. If you see this page, then nginx web server is successfully installed and working. Further configuration is required. So something like for online documentation support, refer something like this is the this is the nginx, guys. This is the nginx is nginx is installed. Now I want to something like modify the static website content in the index.html file. The file is available in the container. So because of this is the file, guys. This is the index.html. So guys, same index.html is welcome to nginx. So I want to modify this. I want to modify this, guys. So modify the static website content in the index.html file. So file available in the container. Now I want to log into the container. How you can log in, guys? Docker, what is the command? I want to log into the I want to log in. I want to log in the container. Docker exec executable mode hyphen it. The name of the container. You can use container id, all the name of the container. What is the name of the container? Web app 1. So web app 1, the name is web app 1. So you can connect and then you can give the bin bash. What is that, guys? Bin bash means we will get the bash prompt for this container. Now you guys see, guys, so this is the we logged into the container. Then you can check the cd. So what is the default path of the Tomcat, OPT Tomcat, a web app? So the same like as a Apache, a var www html. The same like as a nginx default path is /usr share nginx html. So this is the path, guys. So in this path there is a index.html, right, guys? We are index.html. So I want to modify this to echo double quotes. So welcome to Tech World with Hari. So tech world with Hari. So I want to override index.html. Index.html. Guys, before that I will show you what content is there in the HTML. If you press if you add the hash symbol, so the command will not execute. So cat index.html. So in the cat index.html, you see guys, so welcome to nginx. So if you see the page, nginx web service successfully installed. So this is the file, guys. So this is this file, but I'm overwriting it to, so welcome to tech world with Hari. So welcome to tech world with Hari. I'm overriding this file, guys. You can see before it is something, the code is available, something is different. Now I can see it. Cat index.html. You see, guys? Yeah, you see? So welcome to tech world with Hari. So what you added? You added just a welcome to tech world with Hari. Now let's yeah, if you want to apply this, what you can do, guys, you can do docker. So again, exit from the container. Now you are in the EC2 instance. Now docker stop. What is, guys? Docker stop container ID. What is the container ID, guys? So the container ID is, so this is the container ID of the container. So this is the container ID. Docker stop container ID. So Docker container stopped. Docker ps-a. See, guys, the container is exited 5 seconds ago because of we stopped the Docker. Now again you can run the Docker. So what is the command, guys? Docker run. Guys, tell me, Docker run hyphen name. We are providing the name to web app 1. Then yeah, you can create a web app 2, guys, no worries. So then second name we modified that, right? Hyphen d hyphen p port number 8080. So the port is 8080. So what is that, guys? Nginx. A docker run hyphen name web app 2. So what is that? Docker run hyphen name web app 2 hyphen d hyphen p port nginx. Nginx. So error response for the daemon. Full access is denied for the nginx. Repository does not exist or may require docker login. Why here? Yeah. So I forgot to execute the command called as a sudo run sudo docker run hyphen name equal to web app 2 hyphen d hyphen p 8080. So ng, oh sorry, guys. So the spelling mistake typo. Yeah. So the container is created. Now docker ps hyphen a. Yeah, you see, guys, the second web app 2 is created with this with the 6 seconds ago. The port number is 8080. Same like you can check it, guys. So this is the so welcome to index.html. So this is also, you can change the port number, right? Or else we can run web app 1. You see, guys. So the error response is for the daemon is conflict. The container and web app is already in used by the container, and you have to remove that container able to reuse the name, right? Docker start docker ps hyphen a. So docker start Docker start container ID, guys. So this is the right, this is the container ID, right? Copy, paste it. Yeah. So something like what is failed because of port is already allocated. So again, you can remove the Docker. Docker ps-a. Hey guys, with exited with the Docker command, right? So we Docker stop. I'm stopping the second one, guys. I'm stopping the web. So you can use web 2 also, guys. Web app 2. Yeah, Docker is stopped. Then you can start the because of port is conflicted, guys. Here also 8080 container. This container is 8080. This container is 80. So that is the again we stop web 2. We start web 1. Yeah. So Docker ps-a, guys. So Docker ps-a. So this is started 5 seconds ago. Let's check, guys. You see, so welcome to Tech World with Hari. So we modified, right, guys? So we modified the welcome to Tech World with Hari. But I want to share this also in the web app too. But it is not possible, right, guys? So for that purpose, so what is the solution? The Docker volume creation. What is the solution, guys? The solution is a Docker volume creation. So we cannot share the the Docker file in the the Docker file in the container 2 also. So container 2 also, right? Something like this is also we can run Docker run web app 2 web app 2. So 8080, guys. So here we can check as a 81. The port number is 81, guys. Let's create it. So the error response for the daemon config, the container is already is in the container. You have to, oh, sorry, guys. What you can do, you can remove that one. Docker rm. This is the container ID. Or you can use the container name also. You removed. Now let's try, guys. Try with the web app too. Yeah. Docker ps-hyphen -e. You say, guys, this time both are running with the different port numbers. So if you are using the same port number, the same container will not run in. So web app 1, web app 2. Now let's check port number 80. It will show you. So welcome to Hari. But port number 81, port number 81. HTTP 81 because of so next.html, right? So access the static website using EC2 VM public IP, which is hosted by the Nginx. The modified content should display here, right, guys? Yeah, it displayed. So the volume creation to stop the Docker and start the another container as a web app too. So access static website using EC2 VM public IP, which is hosted by the Nginx. So modified content should be displayed here. So right, So for that purpose, we need to create the Docker volumes. So how you can create the Docker volumes, guys? So let's show you. Docker volume. What is the command, guys? Docker volume info. So Docker volume info. So what is the info, guys? Uses Docker volume command and manage volumes. This command is for the manage the volumes. So what is the commands? Create a volume, inspect displayed detailed information on the on one or more volumes. LS is nothing but a list of volumes. Pwn is nothing but a remove all unused volumes, and RM is nothing but a remove one or more volumes. So remove one or more volumes. I want to create a volume. Sudo docker volume. So what is the command for creating the volume, guys? Docker volume create a volume. So what is the volume, guys? New dev new DevOps. So I'm created a new volume called as a new DevOps, guys. So how you can check Docker volume ls. So Docker volume. So what is the Docker volume, guys? This is the local Docker volume. The volume is new DevOps. So the volume is a new DevOps, guys. So the volume is Docker create a new volume, then start the container by mounting the Docker volume. So Docker volume created, right, guys? This Docker volume. So we are mounting this Docker volume to the container. How we can mount it, guys? Docker run -d name. The name equal to web app web app 20 and mount. How you can mount that volume, guys? Mount source. What is the source of the mount? Mount source equal to, what is that, guys? New DevOps. What is that source, guys? New DevOps source and destination. What is the destination, guys? The destination is, so destination equal to, what is the default destination, guys? USR share. What is the default destination? Nginx slash HTML. You can share this one. So -p port number 80 colon 80, then nginx. So nginx, it will display the error, guys, because of already 2020 is running. We need to stop that both the containers, right? So docker stop web app web app 1, docker stop web app 2, docker rm web app 1, docker rm web app 2, docker ps hyphen e. 6 seconds ago, the web 26, right? Yeah, I will remove this one also. Docker stop web app 20, docker rm web app 20. Yes, understood? Docker ps hyphen a. So now docker ps hyphen a. Yes, guys, there is no docker, containers are running. Now you can run this container. You already created a docker volume. So you already created docker volume, right? That docker volume will be mounting to the slash user nginx html. Yeah. So it is a mounted docker ps hyphen a. Yeah. So this is index.html. Yeah, it is showing, right? Web 20 is enabled. Web 20 is enabled. Web app 20 is, and the port number 8080. So what it there? It there in the index.html. So this is mounted under the new DevOps. So you created a Docker volume by using the Docker volumes, and you can attach it. So you are not mounting the directory, whatever the directory you created in the EC2 instances, not that one. You just you created the Docker volumes by using the Docker volume commands. Then you can mount it here. Then you can mount it here. Guys, understood?
Yes, bro.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can modify it and you can change it. So you can modify, you can modify, stop the Docker and Docker exe bin bash. You can go to that file and you can change it whatever you want. So access the static website using EC2 VM public IP, which is hosted by the Nginx. Stop the Docker and run the Docker container. So run the Docker container with different volumes. So using host file with the two containers. Yeah. So you can use it to host file with the two containers. Right, guys. So how you can do it? So this is the one container. So this is the one container. The other container, you can create it something like Docker stop the container. You can stop the Docker container. Docker stop container web app 20. You just stop the Docker container. Just you run the same with the web app 21, guys. Web app 21. So your file, your hosted file will be, your shared file will be in the this location, right, guys? Your stored file will be located in the this file. Yeah. So the both the containers are using the same file. The both the containers are using the same file. Guys, understood? So instead of index.html, so the host file. So the host file is created in the Docker volumes and hosted to the container 1 and container 2. You can stop this container, then you can start the container. So mounting the bounded volumes, not creating the local volumes. Without creating the local volumes, I am creating a directory in the EC2 mission, then attach it to the Docker container. How we can attach it? So host directory mounting to the Docker container, create a directory inside the host mission. Yeah, created. So run the Docker container for Nginx image with the directory mounting. With that directory mounting, Docker run -d -p 8080 -v. So -v temp, you see, guys, temp Nginx HTML, temp Nginx HTML, user share HTML -name C1 Nginx latest. See the containers which are running, C1 should be running. Docker container ls. Access Nginx web server using the host mission public ID. So go to mount cd temp html, create a index.html file. So index.html file and you can run it, guys. You can run it. I will show you that command. You just so this is the bound. So this is the bind mounting, guys. So how I can mount my host mission directory to the Docker container, that is called as a bound mounting. Guys, understood? So bound mounting is nothing but a you can create the you can create the directory in the Docker stop, guys. Docker stop web app web app 21. Docker stop web app 21. So now you can create the bound mounting, bind mounting. Bind mounting is nothing but you can create a directory in your host mission. This is the directory mkdir /p /temp tmp /nginx /html. Just you created a directory, guys. So which directory you created? You created a this directory, right? Let's check. Cd temp. Yes, nginx is there. In the nginx, you created the html. Yes, guys. Yeah, you created the directory. So then run the Docker container for nginx image with the directory mounting. With the directory mounting. So what is Docker run? So Docker run -d -p port number 8080 ::8080 -v. V is nothing but a directory mounting. What is that, guys? Directory mounting. So before what is the command we used? We used the source command, right, guys? So what is that command? Source and destination. So for mounting the source and destination, mounting the source and destination. Now here you are creating a directory. So you are creating a directory and you are mounting that directory to our host machine. So Docker run -d -p 80:80 port number and -v means so we can mount the directory which is created under the local machine. This is our EC2 machine. What is this? Nginx HTML colon usr share nginx. What is that, guys? ng nginx. So this is the default, right? HTML. So this is the default path for the that nginx server. So nginx server. So hyphen name equal to hyphen name. What is the name, guys? So for example, I am giving web app 50. So web app 50 and nginx. So nginx, for example, I am giving the latest. You see, guys, Docker container is running. Docker ps-a. You guys see? So this is the container. Docker 50 container is running and attached the host directory mounting. Attached the host mission directory to the Docker. Host directory mounting to the Docker. This is the concept of host directory mounting to the Docker. So directly, so Docker container